What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Rumpier Sports Hardwood Show for some Friday night NBA action. We got an 8-game slate. Was 9. One got knocked off. There's a few of those over the weekend, a few games that got postponed, and we'll get made up later in the season. But we have a full 8 games tonight. I'm sure there's going to be more news to break. We talk about it every show. You need to be really paying attention to the news up to lock. Got our boy Mangone on here who handles the news at Rumpier Sports. He's on it. As soon as it breaks, he's on it. It goes on to our NBA news sheet for our members. Just right now, I mean, this stuff's so valuable with the way the NBA is going. JSU's on with me today. He runs the Up to Lock show, which I talk about every time here on the Wood. This year, man, that Up to Lock show is so damn important, breaking down the news as it comes in. I think, this might be the first time the three of us, have gotten together here on a show. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we've had this trifecta at all this year, but it's going to be a strong one. We're going to get through. Big T had to work in. I think he got an extra workbench session in potentially. He's not here with us today. Mangone, you have some big shoes to fill with the workbench play of the day.
Hey, I actually got a guy that's doesn't look like or seem like Paul Millsap. When I say his name, you'll like him, I think. So
oh God, just
there's
stop
a guy I
talking
like on this
say
plate.
Paul Millsap. That's it. That's the end of it.
Yeah. No, I have a guy that's not like him. This guy's good though. I'm excited. I like this slate a lot though, man. It's been too quiet, right? Which means I think we're gonna get some crazy good stuff. We have some late news too. You can back, you can backload a little bit for. Not saying it's the greatest news in the world, but I think it's news that you can kind of capitalize on a bit. So I'm super excited for this slate and excited to hop on with you guys and get all of JSU's takes and winners, of course.
Yeah, JSU, toss it over to you. You'll be going up to lock with Holden after this, working the double shift today. What's your first thoughts here on this NBA slate on Friday night?
Yeah, well, Friday, I mean, we ran it last Friday. People seem to like it. So, JSU's pulling double duty again for the people. So, I mean, I'm good. I'm glad to be here, though. It's going to be fun. From this slate, I mean, 8 games, we got some studs. The problem is we got to find some value to fit some of these studs in, and we'll kind of get to it. But certain studs that I like that don't seem to be as popular around the industry as I would have thought kind of going in when I dug in this morning. So it's going to be an interesting slate. I think we're going to have some nice pivots off of some of the chalk.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a slate where we have Giannis, we have Luka, we have some mid tier, but it kind of seems like it's tough in terms of finding the spend ups outside of those guys. Jaylen Brown's in a good spot. We'll talk about him. We have Karl Anthony Towns, who I think people are kind of hesitant to play at this point. Julius Randle's in there, just playing a crap ton of minutes. We have the Lakers dudes, which is always an issue. I mean, the Lakers, we talk about it at every show we're on. They're just kind of coasting a little bit. We're not seeing these big spike performances from the guys that we typically see them from, LeBron, Anthony Davis. But we'll dive in. We'll break it all down. Before I do so, as always, it is very important to go ahead and hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, so we can continue to bring you this show for free. It's something we like doing here at Rumpier Sports. Get with the people, our YouTube channel. We'll continue to do that as long as we get the proper amount of likes and subscriptions. So make sure you hit both those buttons before we dive into the slate. Very important for us. We just announced today we have a special Twitter promo going that will earn somebody a free weekly membership at Rumpier Sports. A few steps you need to follow in order to be eligible for that free week. I'm going to toss it over to Mangone. He's going to give you the details on that.
Yeah, so we have a little promo going on over here at Rumpier Sports. We're giving away a free week membership. All you have to do to qualify is you got to follow the Rumpier Sports Twitter account. You got to like the tweet that was sent out 3 hours ago over on Twitter, and then you have to reply to the tweet with your workbench play of the NFL weekend. So this is your chance to, put on Big T shoes and pick your workbench play of the day. Now, you got to comment in the comment section with the guy that you have as your choice, and you have to pick the fantasy points, right? So you can't just go out there and be like, give me Drew Brees for 25 fantasy points. I saw someone say that. It's like, dude, you got to be a little bullish on it, right? It's got to be someone that's not if you do a quarterback, you better go to 40 fantasy points, something really extreme. So I saw some Mecole Hardman's in there. So I wouldn't submit Mecole Hardman as an option. Maybe read some of the replies so you don't have a duplicate before you submit it. But go out there, find an option. Maybe an Allen Lazard goes for 25. So that's kind of the giveaway we're doing there. And Big T is going to announce it on the show on Monday. So he's going to watch all the performances this weekend, watch all the games, and then whichever one hits and whichever one he thinks was the best, the most bold call, he's going to go with.
Love it, man. Love it. So yeah, make sure you follow those steps so you're eligible. You get a chance to fill the shoes of Big T. Take a chance at the workbench play of the weekend here for this big NFL slate, which, by the way, we're going to have a ton of content for. The written content is pretty much finished up, so you can check it out on runpuresports.com. JSU, give the people the show rundown for the weekend, what we have coming up in terms of shows for this NFL slate.
Yeah, so for NFL, we're going to be doing a wood show on Saturday. That's going to be at 1:30 p.m. Eastern, I believe. It will be me, Hoop, and Big T breaking it down for you. We'll be talking the 4-game slate. And then we have an NBA/NFL Showdown show where the NBA show will start, about 45 minutes before lock. They'll take you all the way up to lock. That's DC and Bobby Gomes. And then they'll talk NFL Showdown for like 30 or 40 minutes after that, breaking down the night Showdown slate for NFL. And then pretty much the same schedule on Sunday. We got a wood show. I think it's a little earlier on Sunday, blanking on the time right now. And then same thing, a little NBA/NFL up to lock NBA, and then NFL Showdown talk after that. So a lot of content, a lot of shows. It's going to be good.
Yeah, ton of stuff going on. And, as always, like I said, hit that like, hit the subscribe. After the first or second game, we're going to pick somebody and give away a piece of gear. One thing I wanted to touch on before we hop into the games is we have that promo. It's Workbench 21 to get you 25% off your first payment at Run Pure Sports. I was kind of thinking this morning, if you're somebody that's not a member, haven't checked out the site, I mean, right now is a perfect time. We have NBA. We have PGA Showdown. We have NHL back. We have NFL playoffs. We have MMA starting this week, and I believe there's like 3 fights, three cards in the next week. So if you're somebody that watches this show and hasn't really checked us out, right now would be a perfect time. You can try it for 1 week, $15 when you sign up. $20 is the normal price. You get that 25% off. $15. You get content for all of those sports plus more. I'm probably missing some stuff. I don't even know. I mean, there's so many things going on right now. It's hard to keep track of everything. So right now is a perfect time to head on over to Run Pure Sports. Use that promo code Workbench21 for 25% off your first payment at Run Pure Sports. All right, let's dive into this thing, boys. Wizards, Pistons.
Before we dive in, I'm sorry, but I got to get to Chase Simmons in the chat. Goes, man, I really thought JSU and Mangone were the same dude. Are you serious?
I don't know who that's a bigger insult to.
Oh, I mean, first of all, Mangone always wears a hat backwards. I very rarely wear a hat backwards. But second of all, I mean, come on. We are definitely different, obviously. Look at, I got the beard going, the Khabib look going. Mangone doesn't look like Khabib. You guys call me Khabib. Hey, man, you look like Khabib.
I don't like Khabib. So I've gotten the Baker Mayfield looks, people say, with like the beard and the brown hair. But I guess that's it. We just both have a beard and brown hair, and that's it. But yeah, that's I always have a hat on. Like,
I'll take looking like Khabib. You can look like Baker Mayfield. I'll definitely take Khabib. That's for sure.
Oh, it is awesome. Same person. Oh, hilarious. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I don't think we've had this trio, have we? We haven't had that. I don't think.
No, our boy Chase would know that we're two different people, I think. So yeah. This is the first time.
Maybe we had like a 4-man booth where we were all on, but I don't think it was just the 3 of us.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're gonna give some winners today. I'm feeling good. I like the momentum we have going here. So as I was saying, the Pistons and Wizards game that's off the slate. First one we have is 7:30 Eastern. That starts the slate. We have the Magic Celtics. The total 213. Boston favored by 4.5 in this matchup. And got a bunch of news here before. All those guys that were questionable: Jaylen Brown, Tice, Oljalaith, Javonte Green. They're all questionable with the old health protocols. They're going to be in tonight. But they're still missing a big name, Jason Tatum. He'll be out. So that's a lot of usage that needs to be made up for on the Boston side of things. On the Orlando side, they're still without a lot of guys. Fultz is out. Carter Williams is out. I believe Evan Fournier as well out. So they're missing, 3 big names. Cole Anthony continues to disappoint. Aaron Gordon minutes finally ticked up last game, and he had a monster game. I think he went for 44 fantasy points in 35 minutes. Still really cheap on FanDuel at 6.5, 6.6. I want to say 7.3 on DK. I don't think is the worst price tag either. Vooch is a guy that you can potentially spend up on. Mangone, I'm going to throw it to you first. How are you handling the situation with Boston? No Jason Tatum, and then any interest in some of these guys on the Magic side?
Yeah, so I'll clean up the Magic first. I'm really just considering Vucevic and Aaron Gordon, and I think Vucevic's a great option, but I also think Aaron Gordon's like one of the really better options on this slate, on FanDuel specifically, but even DK. Like, it feels overpriced, but I don't think he is. And the thing I really like about Vucevic and Aaron Gordon, you're basically getting point guards at the center and forward position, right? Like, these guys are running the offense. They are the point guards. We saw this last year. If you remember in March, right before the COVID shutdown, we saw this with Aaron Gordon. He ran that entire offense. Then we obviously saw the shutdown happen. They went to the bubble, and Aaron Gordon really didn't play a ton. And then these guys got healthier at the start of the year, and Aaron Gordon hasn't been ready. They've been ramping him up really slowly, and he's a guy that's in a really good spot as a point guard, basically running the offense. Same with Vucevic. It's all running through him, through the post, and I think these two guys are great options here on the Magic you want to get a lot of exposure to. On the Boston side, Jaylen Brown is pricier, but I still think he's in play, even at 8.9K. And then Jeff Teague is another guy you can make, he's a great value that you can go to at 4.4K. You can make a good case for him. Marcus Smart feels a little pricier at 7.6, I think he is, or 7.3. He kind of feels like Harrow yesterday. Feels like a good play, but he could get like 40 fantasy points, and like that's you're happy about that performance, but it might not be enough to win GPPs, right? He could even get a 30, and you'd be like, oh, he's got a snowflake, and now you're kind of disappointed. It would not surprise me if that happened with a guy like Marcus Smart. Javonte Green is like this value play that I don't know how he's going to perform. I don't feel as great about him, but he is 3.2K. We talk about it all the time. We can have guys that are like 3.2K, get 8 fantasy points and still kind of help us get there. So I feel okay about him. And Tristan Thompson, I think, is a pretty good value play at 4.8K that I think will get the job done decently. Curious to see what you guys think on them.
Yeah, I mean, this is a game where I think we're going to see some ownership on some of these guys. I mean, you look at Magic, Celtics, and, it doesn't seem like all that appealing of a game, but I think you're going to see some of these guys come in with some decent ownership on tonight's slate. I'm going to throw it to you, JSU. You're the man for GPPs. Kind of give me the breakdown here on this game.
Yeah, so from the Boston side, Jaylen Brown obviously steps into, the best spot here out of all those guys, obviously with no Tatum, Marcus Smart, but he's way too expensive on DraftKings. Like, I mean, I don't mind Smart. Like, I think he's a solid basketball player, but 7.6 for Marcus Smart. Like, if I lose to Marcus, if I lose to Marcus Smart at 7.6, just I'll take the L and move on, man, because that's just too much. Right next to SGA, like 7.7 for SGA, like. Yeah, that's a crazy price tag. So he's off on DraftKings. I think his price tag on FanDuel is definitely a little better at 6.2 if I were to play Smart. And then guys like Jeff, the question is, like, who do they start, right? So they play to start. Normally it's Tristan and Thies, and then Tatum's out. So do they play Jeff Green at the starter? Does Javonte Graham get a spot start? Javonte Green. If Jeff Teague starts, I think he's a strong play actually regardless. But if he starts, it's definitely going to draw a lot of ownership. Peyton Pritchard might be a sneaky play, but his price tag's up too. So I think these guys are in play. It just depends on the value that we get. Like right now, we don't have much value. So playing a Jeff Teague in the 4K range, might be really solid. If it continues this way, paying a Peyton Pritchard at 4,700 might be solid, but who knows? We might get better value as the slate goes on. For the next hour and a half until lock, whatever it is. So that's just the question there. On the Orlando side, I agree with Mangone. It's Aaron Gordon and Vucevic. They're pretty much doing everything. Aaron Gordon was running point guard pretty much. Vucevic, is obviously really good down on the block. He can pass. Make plays for others as well, but they're the two keys to that offense. So if you're playing someone, it's one of them.
Yeah, we got some really good comments here in the chat. I'm getting a little bit distracted. This guy's name is Workbench Hero. He said, "Where's Big T? Loading the minivan with RPS gear, heading to the post office right now." That is a good one. Mangone, someone hit you up earlier. I lost the comment, but he said, "Mangone, I think you're probably the only person to ever say that you look like Baker Mayfield."
No, the Run Pure Bets guys say it. I've heard it from them. So listen. I've heard it before from other people. So
the best one actually was KB. If you scroll up a little bit, said, "Ha ha ha! JSU smash percentage is 100%. Mangone is 2." I thought that was really good after the whole smash thing with Big T yesterday. What smash percentage? What is a smash percentage? Like yes. Big T was just going off about it.
Yeah, so yesterday I believe it was Lakers. Taylor is his name in the chat, and he's talking about Oubre, and he said the RG smash percent was 5% or so. I said we were joking like smash percent. What the hell smash percent? And joking about if my smash percent is 100% if I'm on the workbench. It was a good time. It was definitely a good time, and I'm also getting pounded because apparently the camera's kind of up close on me, and they said they can count the hairs on my mustache. So I'm gonna have to shave after the show. I don't like that comment. I'm gonna get upstairs and shave this thing off right after the show.
You can take the Supercuts play of the day if you want.
I might have to, man. I might have to sub in. I'm gonna be the Gillette. I'm gonna go with the Gillette play of the day. How about that? The Gillette play of the day, so I can get a fresh shave.
If Big T was here, he'd say to keep that thing on so you can tickle the lady.
Yeah, week. That's true. That is something Big T would say. That definitely is it. All right, we got a decent number here. 522. Let's get these likes up to 250, and we'll give away a piece of gear, and we'll phone it into Tony. Tony's got the day off. We'll give him a call after the show. This is our winner. This is the address. Get that shit sent out. Well, that's what we're gonna do. So hit that like so we can send Tony to FedEx on his day off. We're gonna hop into the next game here. Mavericks, Bucks, 229 total, big total. Bucks favored by 8. We have two of the bigger stars on the slate. Luka back to just full smashing. I have to give Big T a little bit of credit. He was early on in the season off Luka, so he didn't look all that good and didn't really play him all that much in DFS. Well, things have changed, and he's just like full smashing every single night. But tough spot here against the Bucks. On the Bucks side, obviously we have Giannis 10-8 on DK. Luka is 11K on DK. Giannis, we haven't seen the monster performances, and a lot of it has to do with some of these games they're involved in. It seems like they continue to be in these bad spots, these blowout spots, not getting his full allotment of minutes. This is a game that if it does stay close, I think both these guys could go off. I mean, the Mavericks are still going to be out without some dudes, and I think that's kind of a little boost to Luka. Another guy I think is in play, Middleton is 7.4K on FanDuel. I think that's a really good price tag for him. Brook Lopez is 4.9K. Those guys, I mean, the prices have come down because of some of these blowout situations that the Bucks have been in. So interesting spot, interesting game. We have two of the more expensive guys on the slate in Luka and Giannis. I'll throw it to you first, JSU. Any interest in either of the studs here or any potential value that you see?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I definitely have interest in the studs. These studs right now, the projected ownership, I feel is very low, coming in at 10% or lower for both these guys. I mean, I think maybe it's right. I don't know, but either way, it's wrong regardless, because these two guys are two of the best plays on the slate, in my opinion, for tournaments, especially if that's the case. And the last time these teams played, the Mavericks took over 53s in that game. The reason is because of the way the Bucks play. The Bucks like to pack the paint, and they like to force passes to the three-point line. So they like to force balls out of the paint. And what does Luka do better than a lot of people is he gets in the paint to make plays. He likes that little floater when he gets in there, and then obviously the dish. What's going to happen in this game is right when he gets in the paint, they're going to collapse. And when they collapse, open three-point shooters are going to be easy passes for him because that's what they want. So last time he had 19 assists against this team. That was the reason. I expect another game where they pretty much try and pack the paint, force him to pass the ball when he gets in the paint. And, Tim Hardaway Jr., Kristaps Porzingis, James Johnson's going to be out there, I expect, for a decent run with, Giannis on the other end. Trey Burke, who saw 30-plus minutes last game, I think they're going to need his shooting out there with no Josh Richardson again. So I just expect this game to be high scoring, fast paced, and I think a lot of threes. I think Luka has, obviously potential for a huge game. The key that's going to keep Luka from a huge game will be his shot, because if he's hitting his shot, he's going to go off. Like if he's hitting his 3-point shots, because they're going to give him that. What they're going to force him not to do is to, like I said, those little floaters in the paint, those little jump stop shots when he gets, driving, they're going to force him to kick on those. So it's either shots from the outside or they're going to kick it. So that's what we're looking for. If Luka's hitting his threes, he's going to absolutely smash in this spot. From the Bucks side, I think, Chris Middleton's price on FanDuel is nice at 7,400. I think Giannis is a great play. Those are really the only two guys that I have like big interest in. A little interest on like Bobby Portis. I think you can have. DK has still a decent price. Yahoo price is $15. So he's in play on some of those sites. So I like this game. I think this is a good game to attack.
Man, I really hope this one stays close, because I think it would be a really exciting game to kind of see these guys go back and forth. Two of the premier DFS plays in general. I mean, two guys that each time they're on the slate, their raw fantasy points are projected to be right up there with anyone. So this would be a very fun game if it stays close. I think it has a chance to. Mangone, throw it to you. What are you thinking here in this Mavericks-Bucks game?
Yeah, I mean, the thing I was looking at today is like we've had like these great days of just like 3K values everywhere, right? And like having Luka and Giannis would have been great yesterday, right? This slate, it's a little harder. Like if you plug both those guys in, you're left with like 4.7K per position, and you could make it work, right? But it's not this slate where you have all these just extreme value plays. But my current lean is like, I think I want to try and get one of those guys in. I'm not prioritizing it. And then I'm just going to let the positions kind of like tell me what to do. I lean Giannis over Luka if I have to pick. But I do think that it's a spot where I'm just going to kind of let like the position tell me what to do based on like the values that are on the slate. I think they're both in really good spots. This could be one of the better spots for Giannis on the entire year. I expect this game to be close and expect Giannis to have to play like maybe the full workload for once. So I'm in on this game. I think those are the two guys I'm looking at, and really that's it. I'm not trying to load up on too many other options on this game. I don't know about you, Hoop.
What about like James Johnson on FanDuel? He's 4.2K. He's been good. I mean, in terms of fantasy, I mean, he's a guy that can kind of stuff it across the board, the stats. He's only 4.2. Any interest there?
Yeah, that's like the one guy that I kind of consider. I did the morning podcast with Draft Cheat, and when we were kind of going through this game, I said that, and then I looked, I was like, well, James Johnson is kind of still in play. I think he's a better play on FanDuel than DraftKings, where he's like 4.6, and it depends what kind of value opens up, and I assumed that some value would open up, and we did get news that Al Horford will be out. And with Al Horford being out, that opens up Isaiah Roby as a really good value play at the forward position. So that might kind of kick James Johnson out a bit. But in tournaments, he could be a really good option. I still don't hate it in cash games. Yeah,
we got Horford out. We'll cover that when we get to the Thunder game. It's pretty big. I mean, on this slate where we're kind of lacking value, like you both touched on, any little thing's going to help out. And that's one piece that we can now consider is Roby. We'll cover it when we get there. Next game, we have the Knicks, we have the Cavs, and man, when I pulled up the slate and looked at this total, I mean, we haven't seen totals in the under 200 all that frequent this season. And this Knicks Cavs is 197. Knicks favored by 2. Both teams projected to score under 100 points. I mean, that is very rare in this day and age in the NBA. But I mean, for me with the Knicks, it's the same thing. I'm not really worried about that total. I mean, these guys in close games continue to play so many damn minutes. Julius Randle, really like him. He's 9-1 on both sides. I think he's firmly in play. Elf, the price is up on DK. Most of these guys actually. I mean, the DK prices not all that good. FanDuel prices a lot better. So for me, most of these guys are in play on DK or on FanDuel, not that much on DK. On the Cavs side, they're going to continue to be without Garland, continue to be without Sexton. Opens up a lot of opportunities for a guy like Dodson. I'm still I'm still hating on Okoro from like the third game of the NBA season when he played 42 minutes and got 4 fantasy points. I don't think I'll ever play him again. I'm forever tarnished by that performance. Cedi Osman is better FanDuel play, 5.1K. They, for some reason, just haven't adjusted his price like at all and continues to pay off the price tag. He'll play upper 30s in terms of minutes. He did that last game and got 32 fantasy points. Still, 5.1K on FanDuel. You got Nance. You have Drummond, more risk. I mean, with Jared Allen now in the conversation with the bigs. So I'll be focusing on guys like Dotson, Osman. And then on the Knicks side, really like Randall. And then these other guys more in play on FanDuel opposed to DraftKings. Mangone, flip it over to you first. What's kind of standing out to you in this game here?
Yeah, one thing that stood out, I was talking in the Discord chat with one of our members, Gary, and he basically said that he was reading about the Cleveland situation. And I was like, hey, like post it for me because I want to read the article. And he said that they're talking about playing Osman at the 1 and Nance at the 2 at times on the court, which is like crazy to think, but it just shows that like they're going to be giving Osman like more ball handling responsibilities, which is great for him. So like him at this price tag on both sites, I still think he's perfectly fine and in play. Like Dotson too, he's seen a really nice usage, and Okoro's definitely in play. Hoop, I know he's been a little brutal,
it's so painful, man.
Yeah, he's definitely in the conversation though. And I think it depends on what they do with Allen and Prince, right? Because Allen and Prince, like I think they're able to play. The problem is, the reason they can't play right now is because they need the trade to go through. They need basically like everyone to kind of have like all the physicals go through and everything needs to be.
So they're not official. They're not in, right? They're not in.
That's yeah. From what I saw, they're not in yet, okay. But I think they're able to play. Like they're there and ready to go. Like all their stuff, I think has cleared. I think it's some other parts of the trade that are not official yet for it to go through. And if those two guys don't play, I mean, there's guys that could be getting run off that bench, right? Like Stevens at 3K, McGee at 4.5K. They could play him with Drummond, and they have this season, surprisingly. Wade at 3.3K. I mean, there are guys here that you could look at for cheap. I want more clarity on the situation before I actually pull the trigger on these guys, but it's something I'm looking for and waiting for that news to come across.
Yeah.
But Drummond at 9.3, he would be a really good option as well. He's not like the most fun guy to roster, but I do think he's going to have to be in the conversation, and it's a good matchup against a guy like Mitchell Robinson. I don't want a guy like Andre Drummond against someone like Joel Embiid or Karl Anthony Towns, because then he's an absolute disaster. When he's against someone that's like a back against the basket center like Mitchell Robinson, he can absolutely feast. So I think it could be a really good spot for him.
Yeah, back to the minutes being pretty steady, 34, 41, 37. There's a stretch there where they're kind of messing around with the minutes. It appears to have stabilized a little bit. A couple comments in the chat about Cedi Osman sucking. Yeah, I mean, I don't think Cedi Osman is great at basketball, but it's about the opportunities in tonight. He's going to be on the court playing a ton of minutes. The price is still pretty cheap. They just don't have bodies. Like in DFS, you got to be willing to play guys that you think suck. Like I think Andre Drummond is a terrible basketball player. I don't think he's good in terms of winning games. But in DFS, I'm willing to click the name because of what he actually does on the court fantasy-wise. It's tough to keep those biases. You got to be willing to kind of, look past them. JSU, throw it to you first. Any interest here in some of these Knicks guys or the value plays on the Cleveland side that we talked about?
Yeah, I mean, Dotson is a guy that I'm interested in. 5.2K on DraftKings. I think he's around that price tag on FanDuel, but he's point guard on FanDuel at 5K. So, I mean, I have interest in him. I also think Cedi Osman is a better play on FanDuel at that price tag as opposed to, 6K on DraftKings. I think he's 5-1 on FanDuel. I'd prefer him a little more on FanDuel. And then Andre Drummond's going to come in lower owned, I think, at 9.3K. He'd be like a tournament pivot. Randall will be popular. I don't mind Randall, but I just don't think I'm going to spend up for Randall. It is a good spot for him against Cleveland, in my opinion, and he's just playing so many minutes. But I think I'm going to probably end up spending up for one, if not both, of the Dallas-Milwaukee studs. So I'm probably not going to have any. I don't MME either, so I'm only making like 2 to 3 lineups a night. So that's where I kind of stand from the value side of this game. Like Okoro, I mean, I don't like him either. I think he's not great, or he's just not ready for NBA basketball yet. That's why he's not really doing a ton. He's out there a ton. I don't know if I'm going to get there. It depends what other value pops up. For me, though, it's someone I don't want to click his name if I don't have to. That's for sure.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you on that one. I mean, it's a tough name to click, and I am biased. I will admit I'm very biased when it comes to this from like the third game of the NBA season when he played the 42 and only got 4 minutes. So
from just one game.
One game. I still can't get over it. I can't. It was an overtime game. 42 minutes. It was a
Tony Snell game, Hoop. Like it was like prime Tony Snell style game. So I understand.
Yes. That is hard to do, and I say this all the time. Like I feel like, and it's no bull. Like my time on the court is far surpassed me. But if I played 42 minutes in an NBA game, I feel like I could find a way to get like a steal and a rebound and an assist. You know, that guy in 42 minutes couldn't do it. I mean, I have to get over it. I mean, it's a problem for me. You guys hit that like button. We're at 188. We got 610 watching. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. It goes a long way in us continuing to bring you these shows for free. After us, we have a premium show, JSU, Holden, taking us up to lock. JSU, kind of give us a little rundown of the format of that show and, you know, what you guys do and how you handle the news as it comes in.
Yeah, so, I mean, me and Holden will go position by position, and we'll talk FanDuel and DraftKings. We'll kind of break down each position. We'll talk it through, talk about who I like for, you know, GPPs, my favorite couple of plays at each spot. You know, we'll hit up news as it comes in. So right when the news comes out that, you know, someone's out, we'll talk about who that benefits. You know, the starting lineups when those come out, because obviously, you know, starting lineups have been pretty wild in the changes just because of, you know, COVID and everything like that. We're seeing health protocols holding guys out for a game or two. So it's giving opportunity to other people. So we just try and break it down for you and make it as easy as possible for you to understand which guys I think benefit and get the bump.
Yeah, it's a great show. It's part of our premium product at runpuresports.com. And like I said in the opening, Workbench 21 gets you 25% off your first payment at Run Pure Sports. Workbench 21. And I mean, thinking about it earlier, like I said, right now is a perfect time to get in. If you just want to try it out for a week, 1 week, you want to try it out, it costs you $15. You're going to get NBA content. You're going to get PGA Showdown content. You're going to get NFL playoff content. You're going to get NHL content. You're going to get MMA content, which is back tomorrow. And I say it all the time about the MMA content. I think it is by far the best piece of MMA content in the industry. Titletown does a phenomenal job with it. He crushes. He's in our Discord chat, breaking it down before, during, after the slates. Just does a phenomenal job with our MMA product. Workbench 21 gets you 25% off. On top of that, Mangone, we have a Twitter program, Twitter promo going on right now. Why don't you run it by the people one more time in case they came in late?
Yeah, so I posted it in the chat. I'm sure I could post it again. I'm sure I can find it and post it there. But we're doing a promo. All you got to do is head on over to our Twitter account. There's a couple things you got to do. You got to follow the Twitter account at RunPureSports. So go follow that. Then you got to like the tweet. I tweeted about 3 hours ago. I'll post it here in the chat. And then you got to reply to the tweet with your workbench play of the NFL weekend and the total amount of fantasy points that it's going to score. And Big T will pick the winner on Monday after all the games have been played. He's gonna, check out all the contestants. We'll give him like 5 or 3 of them, and then he'll talk about each one on air, and then give his number one play basically that he thinks was the best workbench play. And when you do it, listen, people have put in Mecole Hardman, right? And there's already been 3 submissions for Mecole Hardman, 20 fantasy points. Don't do that anymore. That's already been submitted. You're going to be competing with people, right? This is like DFS. You want to get to the top. So you got to be a little creative with it. Don't be like Drew Brees for 20 fantasy points. That's not a hot take. Big T is not getting on the workbench there for Drew Brees getting 20 fantasy points. So be a little creative with your choices. And, head on over to Run Pure Sports Twitter account, do that, and I'll post it now here. You get a free free week subscription when you do that.
Yes. I mean, you guys know Big T, and you know his personality, his, his tendencies. So just, one piece of advice, you got to play to Big T. You got to play to Big T's strengths in order to win this 1 week subscription at Run Pure Sports. The chat, talking about, I believe it was yesterday when I said, listen, guys, if you don't get these likes up, you're not getting the workbench play of the day. Don't make me get to that point again. I mean, we got the Supercuts play of the day, and I have something lined up special for Mangone as well. If you want to hear these, you know what to do. Just don't make me pull out the threats again. You know what I'm willing to do. We'll just cut the show off without it. So just hit the like, hit the subscribe, so I don't even have to get to that point. Just make it easy on me. All right, we're going to ship on over to the next game. Grizzlies Timberwolves 225.5 total. Minnesota favored by 1. On the Grizzlies side, it's very tough right now to project anything on the Grizzlies side because Morant is apparently questionable. I still don't necessarily think he plays. If he does play, it would be limited minutes, I guess, but that would kind of wreck everything for the Memphis side. So that's kind of some news we need to follow, some things that stand out. I think Valanciunas is fine either way. I think Brandon Clark is fine either way, specifically on FanDuel at 5.6K. Don't even mind the 6.1K on DK. On the Minnesota side, they have some injuries, and it looks like Koji, he's questionable, but if he does play, he would potentially start. Vanderbilt will most likely start. D'Angelo Russell has been playing well lately, and then they have Cat, too, coming back. Should play, or he is going to play tonight. Pretty nice price tag on DK at 9.9K. On FanDuel, he's 10.8K. On the Minnesota side, I think there's a lot of plays here, and there's some news obviously with these guys being out, so it really stabilizes the playing time for their core pieces. Mangone, break down the injury situation on the Minnesota side, and then what you're thinking with the Grizzlies.
Yeah, so I'll pull up the news sheet right now, actually, and talk about the Minnesota side here a bit. So they got guys that are out because of COVID, right? The COVID protocol. We got Juancho Hernan-Gomez. He's out. And we've seen him. He was the workbench play of the day. Absolutely crushed for Big T. But that's obviously going to open up some room for a guy like a Vanderbilt. He's definitely a really good option. Average a fantasy point per minute or two. So he's definitely someone you want to look for. Ricky Rubio, he is out too. 5.1K, he's at that price tag. This usage is now going to take a point guard who's at a pretty good price. This is going to allow you to get guys like Beasley or D'Angelo Russell that could capture more of a ceiling. Now, their prices have gone up at 7.1 and 8.3, but they're going to get some usage. You would think Towns would get some usage as well. Even a Culver at 3.8K, I think he could be interesting. We also saw Ryan Saunders talked about maybe getting Anthony Edwards, so more run at the 4. So he's another guy at 4.5K that could open up some value. This is an 8 o'clock game, so it's 30 minutes after lock. So we'll kind of have to see how the coach kind of, puts out his roster. We'll see what kind of starters he brings out there and what he wants to do. Look for some coach quotes on that. I think that'll be a little valuable. And then Okogie too, he's going to be probable as well. But the loss of Rubio is a lot of usage to go around. And Juancho Hernan-Gomez, I mean, there's a spot at the forward position for someone to soak up some minutes.
Yeah, a guy like Vanderbilt, just really aggressive on the court. And like you said, a fantasy point per minute. Should be locked into a big role here. So there's a lot to like here on the Timberwolves side. On the Grizzlies side, it's a little murkier. JSU, what's your breakdown here from a tournament perspective?
Yeah, well, let's start with Jared Vanderbilt, who I've been on kind of to start. This dude is a monster. One thing I worry about, though, and where he is the best is when he is playing the 5. When they go small with him at the 5, he is so much better. When he's in there with the center, especially a center like Cat, who's going to, command the ball and, the boards and everything like that, kind of takes away from him a little bit. I still like him here at 4,200 on FanDuel. I think he's still in the 3Ks on DraftKings, but it's definitely not as good of a spot as I think people maybe see it as right now, just because I prefer him playing the 5. And I think with Cat in there still, he's not going to really see much 5 run because they still got Nas. They still got Ed Davis if they need him as well to back up Cat at the 5. So I do like Vanderbilt. He's not like a smash play for me. It's not like a core play, but he's value if we need it.
Yeah. Just going through this slate of games here, it's usually we go through and break them down. And you kind of write off a game or say you don't have much interest, and so far we've kind of found plays in every game, and I don't think it's going to change in the next one. We have the Bulls, we have the Thunder, total 224.5. Chicago favored by only 1, so we're projecting a close game, potentially high scoring. Problem on the Bulls side, especially on DK, these price tags are elevated for these guys. Kobe White, 7.4. He's 6.4 on FanDuel. Much better play there. Zach LaVine, 9.5K. I can't pay that price tag. On the Thunder side, though, it's kind of opposite. Gilgeous-Alexander, 7.7 on DK. I think he's in play. I'm not necessarily a Gilgeous-Alexander guy, but at 7.7, close game here, which is important for the Thunder. I mean, they're just not a very good team, and we see them in a lot of blowout spots. I like SGA. We got the news that Al Horford is out. Big boost to a guy like Isaiah Roby, 3.7K, will start. been very productive when he's on the court. So I think he's a strong play. But for me, it's going to be, more Bulls guys more in play on FanDuel for me. On the OKC side, Roby in play on both sites, SGA more on DK opposed to FanDuel. Toss it over to you, JSU. What are your thoughts here on this game?
Yeah, so I mean, Roby becomes one of the better value plays probably here with no Al Horford. He's going to get run kind of regardless. SGA, I don't mind him, but he's going to be extremely popular. So for tournaments, he's someone that I'm probably going to look to fade just the way I want to play. He's one of the more popular guys on the slate. So I don't mind, fading him and hoping, he just has a decent performance or, bust. From the Bulls side, I agree with you. There's not much I love from the Bulls, especially it looks like Markkanen's going to be back. Otto Porter is probable to play. So I think it just kind of muddies up all those guys. And like you said, the pricing on DK puts Kobe White out of play. On FanDuel, he's still in play, I think, because of that tag. But on DK, definitely not paying over $7K for him with everyone back. So, the OKC side. And then Bazley is still questionable, right?
I believe so. Mangone?
Yeah, I haven't seen anything yet. I mean, I've been on the show, but no, I mean, nothing came when the Horford news came out. And Drummond is probable and Drew Holiday's probable. So we're starting to get some news come in there. So I'm sure.
And just to cover a little more news, it said Jared Allen and Prince will not be available tonight.
Yeah, that's pretty big, I assume, right? Because that's like, I don't know, like some of these 3K guys might be interesting where they might end up like popping in there for some minutes. And like even a JaVale McGee, I know we didn't touch upon him a ton, but I feel like they have to somehow give him some type of run out there with Andre Drummond. I know it sounds stupid, but I don't know. Am I crazy to think that, guys?
Well, if you think about it though, like Taurean Prince, if he was available, would have had to play some minutes. They need a guy like him to just sit at the wing. All he's going to do is sit out on the wing or in the corner and shoot threes.
We got huge news. Timberwolves and Grizzlies game tonight has been postponed.
Okay, so let's go ahead and cancel that one. And we have a quote from Brad Stevens that he's not going to be pushing anyone's minutes tonight. I think we need to be cognizant of that after a week of basic inactivity. So a lot of news, and we're going to get more. So all right.
Pretty much everyone who was out or who had the protocols, he's worried about their minutes. Pretty much.
That's what it sounds like. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. So big news. So that Grizzlies game, we spent some good time talking about it. Now disregard that off the slate. All right. So anything else, Jace?
Adjustments. Jeez.
Yeah.
This is gonna be a wild slate for sure.
It's gonna be a wild.
Yeah, we knew when there was no news really before this show that there was gonna be news dropping. This is just another reason why if you're not a subscriber, you're gonna get this show pretty much up through lock with any news that drops, and I'll be in there helping you, telling you exactly how I feel about the news, how it's going to affect my lineups, what I'm doing. So that's just another reason why if you're not a subscriber, you should subscribe. You know what I mean? That's just it.
Any late breaking news is an advantage to the player that has the proper resources and knows how to analyze it. And with this, the way the NBA is going this season, that's basically going to be every single slate.
For sure.
Any final thoughts on this game, the Bulls Thunder?
The one thing with Al Horford just randomly being ruled out or whatever, I mean, Darius Bazley, he left the game. I remember that he left the game. So it's not like he got the injury, with the ankle and then went to the bench. He actually just left the game, didn't return. If he's out, that's just going to give us more value at a bigs position where we already have some value in Roby. It's going to put other guys into play too. But it looks like we're not going to get that news probably until a little bit later. That game kicks off at 8. So maybe he's really like a game time call or whatever, since we got the Horford news already, but not him. They're probably going to want him to test that ankle out. So, that's just news we're going to have to wait on, it looks like. But I think that's big news too, because it would put into play some other cheap guys and some guys that might have to play even more minutes than they're normally playing.
Yeah, no, it makes a ton of sense. And what time is that game? It's 8 p.m. Eastern, so an hour or 30 minutes, right? So 30 minutes after lock. I think there's a chance that we get it. We'll see. Mangone, what are your thoughts here on this Bulls Thunder game?
Yeah, I don't want to play any of the bulls with Lauri Markkanen being back. All these guys' prices are jacked up. I just think it's a bad idea to touch any bulls unless you're going to play like 3 or 2 OKC guys and you want to run one back. Then sure, in tournaments I think that makes sense. But I'm out on the bulls. And then OKC, I guess I was going to ask JSU this question. So me and Hoop, we're the cash donkeys, right? Like we're like, give me Muscala and Isaiah Roby like in the right spots. We'll play both together. JSU, is that a bad idea to do in tournaments? What would you think about that?
Are you going to tell me that you're fitting in Giannis and Luka? Because if you're telling me that, then I'll say try and make it work as best you can. Because right now with the value we have, I mean, I think it's an okay strategy. Muscala, they're not going to me, they know what they have in Mike Muscala. Like, this is my opinion. Now, if we get news that Bazley's out, now that might open a few more minutes up for Muscala where maybe he's seeing in the mid-20s, but I think they're going to give him like 20 minutes-ish, if Bazley's in, maybe a little less, maybe a little more, but it's going to be right around 18 to 20, 21, 22 minutes. Roby will get more run just because I think they want to see what this young kid has, a little bit more than Muscala, we kind of already know what Mike Muscala is. He's pretty much a stretch the floor, 3-point big, right? That's what he's going to do. So I think as the slate is right now, you can do it. But if we get news that, Bazley would be out, then it becomes more into play. And I think it brings another guy into play too, which, I mean, I can't even say, Pafkowski is his name. Another young kid. He played 21 minutes last game. Kind of talented, super skinny, long, lanky kid, 6'10", 6'11", I'm pretty sure. Very raw as a basketball player. But if he's seeing mid-20s minutes, if Bazley's out, I would have interest.
Yeah, he appears to be like a fantasy point per minute guy. And I mean, small sample size, but, fantasy point per minute so far.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I was clarifying, just to clarify my statement, I was basically thinking if Bazley was out, would we play both those guys? And I agree, Poku, that's what I call him, because I'm not saying that name.
You call him Poku?
Poku, and P-O-K-U.
Poku.
So, Mr. Poku, he can run some time at the 5, too. He can run time at the 4. They've been very versatile with him. So, I think that's a good call by you there. We're going to definitely have to look really deep into this OKC front court here going up to lock.
Yeah, I think he's more in play than Muscala, because, again, OKC's a young squad. They want to see what the young guys have. If these veterans are resting or some starters are resting, they're going to give these other guys opportunity over a Mike Muscala.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I definitely think a guy like him could be, firmly in play when it's all said and done. If Bazley's out, I mean, you're looking at played 20 minutes last time, 25 fantasy points, 15 minutes, 15 fantasy points. They had a game, 18 minutes, 16 fantasy points. I mean, right around a fantasy point per minute. If he gets into the 20s, easily pays off his price tag. So I like that call.
And I think how you would pronounce it is Pokasevsky. I might have said that wrong.
We got to get Holden in here.
Holden will figure it out. He will figure it out.
He'll have that name. He'll have that name perfected by the Up to Lock show.
He's probably watching this show right now. Holden, I want you to find OKC's power forward Pokasevsky. Make sure you know how to pronounce that name.
Yes. Love it. All right, next game. We got the Hawks. We got the Jazz. 228.5 total. Jazz favored by 6. On the Jazz side, kind of waiting to see if Ingles is in or not. Is he still questionable, Mangone, Ingles?
Ingles, I believe he's out. So if Jordan Clarkson opens up, he's 6'1" on DK, he's 5'2" on FanDuel, more viable there. I would
Yeah, good FanDuel price for Jordan Clarkson. He was a strong play the other night. Definitely right back in the conversation here. Again, tonight on the Hawks side, still without Bogdan, Trae Young. Was looking good last time out, and they kind of ran into a blowout situation. Only played 25 minutes, but got 45 fantasy points. Tough spot here. 8-7 on DK, 8-8 on FanDuel. If this was last year, he'd probably be 100% owned. I mean, but he's had some down games recently, so people are hesitant to play him. I personally think really good tournament play. Don't know if I'll necessarily go there in cash games. I mean, it's a tough team, honestly, for fantasy. So for me, the only thing I really love in this game is Clarkson on FanDuel. Outside of that, Trae Young in tournaments. I'll go to you first, JSU. Are you seeing anything else? Any potential GPP plays here?
Yeah, so from this game, I think Cam Reddish at 4,500 on FanDuel is a solid play. At shooting guard, I think Jordan Clarkson at 6-1 now on DraftKings, like you said, probably a little better play on FanDuel. But with Joe Ingles out, he's been doing a lot more. Atlanta is a team who they'll play kind of smaller with Collins at the 5 and DeAndre Hunter at the 4. So Clarkson could, be in play to get a bunch of minutes again and see more because they like to run small. Even at the end of the game, sometimes Atlanta will choose to do that. So, Clarkson is a good call. Better play on FanDuel. Cam Reddish. And then outside of that, I think Rudy Gobert on FanDuel, I'm going to look at too as well.
Yeah, 8K on FanDuel I think is a good price tag where, not as much flexibility and you have to kind of just lock in one of those natural centers, 8K. His game fits FanDuel scoring better too with the blocks and steals and all that good stuff. So Mangone, what do you got here in this game?
Yeah, sorry, I was looking at some news. Which game are you on specifically?
Oh, the Jazz Hawks.
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, that's why I didn't hear it because it's the Jazz Hawks. Yeah, we talked about Clarkson before. It's a brutal game, man. Like I remember when I was doing the pod with DC this morning, I said this is the one that just kind of catches us up, right? Like I don't have anything to talk really too much about the Hawks. I will say I read that the Hawks they want to speed it up a little more. The coach was kind of saying, "Hey Trae, you need to speed up the offense and push the pace more." So that could obviously play better for him, and his price has come down. So maybe in tournaments you could take a shot on it. But I don't want to mess with them too much. And then you can make the argument that Rudy Gobert thrives in matchups where it's against back to the basket center, like a Clint Capella. But I really just don't think I want to be spending my money here on this slate on these guys. Maybe with Memphis, Minnesota, maybe it changes and I'm not noticing it. But I think this is a game we can still kind of cross off.
Yeah, it's not a great game. What about Clarkson on FanDuel, 5.2K? I'm assuming you still have some interest in him over there.
Yeah, that's the one main guy that I'm kind of keying it on. I think if I'm playing 50 lineups on FanDuel today in those lower dollar tournament, trying to ship it all, with that Rum Pure logo at the top for the people. Oh, yeah. But but I think Clarkson will be in that pool, right? When I build out that player pool, I'm kind of doing it right now while I'm on the show. I think Clarkson will be one of the guys that's in there.
Yeah. All right. We're going to head on to the next game. We have the Pelicans. We have the Lakers. 220 total. Lakers favored by 9. On the Lakers side, it's pretty clear to me. We've talked about it on the show, especially for cash games. Now, it could differ in tournaments, but for cash games, I'm not playing Lakers until there's some sort of injury or rest situation. If LeBron's out, then I'll be on Anthony Davis. If Anthony Davis is out, I'll probably be on LeBron or some of these other guys. And Kuzma comes into play a little bit. When they're healthy, I do not see myself playing many Lakers probably all season long, or maybe later in the season where they're playing for some positioning or something. Can't click these names when they're fully healthy. So and the price tag's not all that good. Like a guy like Schroeder, we were playing him a little bit earlier on in the season, 6.4K on DK. I'm not going there. On the Pelican side, we're still waiting on some news, pretty big news actually, and that's Eric Bledsoe, whether or not he plays. With Lonzo out, if he plays, strongly in the conversation. 5.3 on FanDuel, 5.7 on DK. He'll have a ton of ball handling responsibilities. If he's out, we can go right back to Alexander Walker. I think you can play him either way on DK. On DK, he's 4.4. On FanDuel, they got really aggressive with his price tag and bumped him all the way right up to 5.5. So, much better play on DK opposed to FanDuel. And then Bledsoe, I think, in the conversation on both sites if he is in. Zion will be back. I don't know. I just don't think this is a great spot for Zion against the Lakers. I'll likely be off him. Josh Hart, good price tag on FanDuel. I think he's in the conversation a little bit over there. Go to you first, Mangone. How are you handling this Eric Bledsoe situation? And then do you have any interest in any of the Lakers guys?
Yeah, this is a tough one, right? Because if Bledsoe's in, you're kind of interested in playing him and you want to have the roster spot possibly for him at that price tag. I'm kind of hoping he just doesn't play. That would open up some really good value plays that we might want to backload a little bit for. You got Alexander Walker at 4.4K, who's an interesting option. You got JJ Redick at 3.8K, who's an interesting option. Zion, too. You can make a case that Zion at 7.9, he's one of those guys that we've been waiting for that ceiling game. And now with all this usage maybe disappearing, maybe this helps him out a bit. I know the matchup's not easy and people might not want to go towards him, but he could be a really good tournament option that people just kind of ignore and has a massive ceiling. Brandon Ingram, another guy who's going to see some more ball handling responsibilities and a little bit of a revenge game against the Lakers. I don't hate it at 8.6K. I think that makes some sense. And then obviously Josh Hart's another guard that could get some bump. So there's a lot that can happen here. And we definitely want to be getting some exposure to this Pelican side of the ball.
Anything on the Lakers side, or are you going to mostly be off the Lakers?
Yeah, I'm sort of off the Lakers. I think that Anthony Davis makes some sense in tournaments. Like, I wouldn't mind if I'm playing like 2 to 3 Pelicans in tournaments, putting Anthony Davis as a run back option if you want, because people don't love rostering these, these guys, right? They don't like rostering LeBron and Anthony Davis right now because there's a lot of unknown with them and it can be just an absolute disaster. So that's kind of the one guy that I'm looking at and maybe running it back with some of these Pelicans to maybe make my team a little unique.
Yeah, definitely. JSU, any interest in the Lakers team, or you kind of agree with what we're saying here? And then on the Pelican side, are going to go back to Alexander Walker in tournaments? Are you looking at guys like Bledsoe if he does play? Any Zion for you? Give us the breakdown here from a GPP perspective.
Yeah, I mean, the Lakers, I think we've all been kind of on board that the Lakers are just tough to play right now, the way they're going with Anthony Davis and LeBron and Schroeder and Trez and all these guys they have. It just they all take a little away from each other where, the ceilings, those ceiling games for these studs especially just haven't been there as much. So I'm probably off the Lakers. Again, if everyone's in and they're all healthy, I'm going to be off. The Pelican side, so at least on FanDuel, if you wanted to play Alexander Walker and let's say Eric Bledsoe gets ruled in, you can easily pivot to Eric Bledsoe because they're the same position and Alexander Walker's 200 more than Bledsoe. So you don't have to worry about that. Now on DraftKings, it's the trickier situation where if we don't get this news until, after the 8 or even the 9 o'clock game and Bledsoe's in, you're kind of pigeonholed unless you have a pivot in that 4K range at guard in the later games. So, I mean, maybe you can find a pivot for the later games that you could go to if Bledsoe is ruled in, because you can't just directly pivot to Bledsoe because they're a 1,300 difference. So you need like a 2v2 pivot. So that's something where, again, I'll talk about this all the time. You should have this already thought out. If you build a team and you play Walker and you in your head you're saying, I don't like Walker if Bledsoe's in, then you should have a 2v2 pivot that can get you Bledsoe, even if we get the news just after 9 o'clock and most of those games lock. In my opinion, that's how you should build and think about news. You should think about the news as what if. Do it from both angles. What if you play? So, and maybe you still like Walker. Like maybe you say Bledsoe's in, but I still like Walker on DraftKings at 4-4. I'm just going to stick it. That's fine too. Mm-hmm. But if you're like, I need Eric Bledsoe, and so I need to find a way so I can get him, then you need to already have this thought out.
Yep. No, it's very important strategy. In cash games and tournaments, you need to be looking to do that for sure. I mean, I'm kind of in the camp that I think he's in play. Alexander Walker's in play, whether or not Bledsoe's in. Like if Bledsoe's in, I think I'd still be willing to play him at 4-4. Mangone, what do you think there?
Yeah, I think he's still a really good play. 4-4 is still a nice price tag on Alexander, and I'm torn, obviously, if Bledsoe is in, right? That's where it's going to be a really tougher decision to make. But I still think he could work out as an option. And the one thing to note about this whole trying to figure out how you want to backload this news, you do have some news in the next game that could help you out and could bail you out of it. And it's good to have that backup plan. Don't just be like, oh, I'll backload my lineups and figure it out. Like, no, take some time right now to figure that out now of what the backup plan could be. And if you get punched in the face with Anthony Davis being ruled out, then that's a good thing for you. Then you have all this different value that opens up as well. So that's definitely something to note.
It's a great segue into the last game here, Mangone. Why don't you give us the news that you're talking about?
Yeah, so we have to figure out what's going on with Lou Williams and Patrick Beverley. That's the big thing. Personal reasons for Patrick Beverley, I believe. And then Lou Williams, I believe he's questionable. And obviously, if these guys miss, Reggie Jackson, I know Reggie Jackson's not the most fun roster, especially with these high usage guys there, but he's $3K. It is a cheap price tag. Would it be Terrence Mann maybe? Would it even be Luke Kennard getting some more work and they run more Paul George at the point guard? I mean, that could be a route that they end up going, but they need some like kind of quick guys to cover a guy like a De'Aaron Fox. So I am kind of curious to see what they end up doing. And it's an unknown. Like you could honestly just sit there and be waiting for that news and it doesn't fall your way and it could hurt you. But it's news that could be coming and we're going to have to monitor and figure out.
Yeah, I mean, Lou Williams, obviously the minutes have been disappointing so far. But, you know, if Patrick Beverley is out, personal, he's listed as questionable for personal reasons. He's been playing a ton of minutes, so there's going to be a lot to go around. Any interest in Paul George, Kawhi, or some of these other guys on the King side?
Was it me?
I finished that out. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, I'll finish out. And the one thing I'll mention is Nick Batum could be kind of interesting, Hoop. And the reason why is like if they decide to go more like Paul George, I guess, running the point, right? They just bail on doing Reggie Jackson and man. You could see Batum kind of get the work, but I don't know. That just doesn't like match up as an idea for me. And when we get there, JSU, I'd like you to kind of touch on how you kind of see that shaking up if both those guys sit. And on the opposite side, like the Kings, there's just a lot of guys there. That is one of my worries. I know Whiteside is questionable, so you could make a case that could help some of those other options at the front court, but I don't really know what to do with the Kings. I think on FanDuel, Fox makes sense where he's cheaper. Yeah. I think I believe he's 7.4K, right?
7.3, yeah.
Oh, yeah, 7.3. So I think he makes more sense there than DraftKings, but there's some tough price tags, I think, on DraftKings on some of these Kings options. So I don't want to, get too overexposed to these guys.
Yeah. Before I toss it to JSU to close out this final game, hit the like, hit the subscribe. You guys got to the 250, so we'll be giving away at least one piece of gear. If we get up to 350, we'll give away another piece of gear. Not much time, so I need a lot of you guys to just pound that like button. Then we have the big plays of the day coming up here at the end. So hit the like, hit the subscribe so we can continue to give you these shows for free. We got that promo code WORKBENCH21, 25% off your first payment at Run Pure Sports. If you haven't checked us out yet, right now is a perfect time with all the sports going, NBA, NFL playoffs, PGA, NHL, MMA starting back up tomorrow. $15, if you want to just try it out for a week, $15 for 1 week. Head on over to runpuresports.com, Workbench21 for 25% off your first payment at Run Pure Sports. All right, JSU, give us your breakdown here of this Clippers-Kings game.
Yeah, well, before I say this, I just want to tell people, too, I mean, this double duty is for the people. So, yeah. I mean, it's going to be real hurtful if we can't get to a reasonable number here. I mean, Hoop, come on. This is going to be extremely hurtful if we can't get to a reasonable number.
I'll hold back the Supercuts play of the day if these people don't do it. I mean, we got one piece of gear. I mean, 350 I think is a reasonable number. So just get us up to 350. We can, I mean, more work for Big T too. I mean, double duty on the gear, 2 pieces of gear today. Like, come on, just hit the like button, hit the subscribe, goes a long way, helps us out.
Nothing better than to add more to Big T's list. Come on, Let's get up there. Let's get to that 350. So this Kings, Clippers game, I agree with you. Like Pat Bev and Lou Williams, this is big news because regardless, Pat Bev played like 30, was it 8 minutes or so? He played extremely big minutes, and it was because Lou Williams only played 6 minutes or something like that with his hip issue or whatever he was going through. Obviously, he was injured because even though the coach probably doesn't love playing him a ton, not 6 minutes. Like he normally gets like 18 to 20 minutes or something like that, when everyone's healthy. So to me, if Lou Will and Pat Bev were to be out, there's like 40-something minutes of run between these two guys. And so, like Reggie Jackson's going to have to handle some of it. I do agree that Terrence Mann will probably get a little run as well. It won't just be all Reggie Jackson. But I do think also Nick Batum might run some of the point. They were talking about this a while ago. I was listening to someone talk about how the Clippers loved the fact that he was pretty much a playmaker at the forward position who, if they needed him to handle the ball and set up the offense, he could. So Nick Batum actually does make a lot of sense if those guards are both out. I would expect him to handle a lot of those duties. And Reggie Jackson, he's more like what he is right now is really just a catch and shoot guy. That's all he wants to do. He stands out at the wing, catches the ball, either pump fakes or he shoots the ball. Like if he pump fakes, he takes a dribble in and shoots or passes. Like that's all he's doing. He's not like a point guard. He's not going to like handle the offense the whole game. It's going to go in Batum's hands, Kawhi's hands, PG's hands. And he might get more shots though. That's the only thing.
Yeah, and this is the late game, and this news seems very vague. Like there's no like indication, no leans whether or not these guys are going to be in or out. Just got to be looking to late swap, and you have to be planning out your lineups, like JSU said. I mean, you really, really need to be planning out your lineups based on the news, especially in this day and age. I mean, it's a playing NBA DFS, if you're going about it seriously, it is a grind, and you got to go all the way through these late games now. That's kind of just how it goes. So, any final thoughts, boys, on the slate before we get into the plays of the day?
No, I mean just like be ready for the news. Like it just felt way too quiet all day. I was just like kind of.
And we got it.
Yeah, and we might even get more. I mean, I would not be surprised. So, be waiting on that news, and but don't wait too long, right? Don't pass on good plays sometimes. That's always worth mentioning.
You can overdo it too. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, you can always overdo it with waiting and passing up on good plays. I mean, we're not saying if you feel good about a guy early on, not to lock him in. If you like someone early, lock him in. But, planning for the news is not a bad idea either.
Yeah, you just can't backload and be like, I'll figure it out at 9. It's like, well, at least figure out the plan, right? And speaking of plans, Darius Baisley plans to play. He's available. So there it is.
Perfect segue. Okay, the moment you guys have all been waiting for. I didn't have to hold the plays over your head. You guys got to the 250 easily. So we're going to go ahead and go through with the plays of the day. The first one, it's a new name, a new play. It's going to be the Baker Mayfield play of the day from Mr. Travis Mangone. What do you got for us?
Yeah, and listen, we're getting close to it. The people are doing a great job. 326 likes. We just got to go bottom right, not even bottom right, like middle right, 326. Get that to 350 so we can give you guys some more gear. So I'm going with, I talked about it in the first game. You'll know early on. He's a great play on FanDuel, but DK is a little overpriced, right? Like you look at the price tag, you say that if he was like $500 cheaper, you'd want to play him more. Mr. Aaron Gordon, you get a power forward running the point guard against the Celtics team right off all the COVID issues. I think the Magic could compete a little bit more, and I like Mr. Aaron Gordon to drop a nice little game. Maybe he puts up about 40 fantasy points or more. So give me Aaron Gordon as my guy.
I like it. Yeah, on FanDuel, I think he'll have some decent ownership. I don't think he'll be all that owned on DK. So at 7.3K, I think really good tournament option there. All right, and our next play is you know the name of it, the super cuts, and this is tied to the person that's winning gear, by the way, that I have pegged to win gear. Now, if you want more gear, you got to go ahead and hit 14 more likes. But the super cuts play of the day from JSU.
Yeah, so obviously, like Big T always says, when we give you these plays, I just can't give. We try not to give you, the top guys. We don't want to cop out, even at lower ownership. Like, I mean, I think some of these guys up at the top could end up being lower owned. But even with that's the case, I'm trying to, dig in for you guys. Give someone else. I like Mr. Trey Burke tonight. I think Trey Burke is in a perfect spot where he's going to have a lot of opportunities for catch and shoot jump shots. All right. Like I said, the paint, it's going to be really tough. They're going to collapse when they get the ball in the paint, and shooters are going to need to move to spots and get open. I expect guys like, Tim Hardaway Jr. to be chucking, Trey Burke to be chucking, Porzingis. And Trey Burke has got a nice price tag, $4,500 on FanDuel. I think $4,900 on DraftKings. Played over 30 minutes last game. Give me some Trey Burke.
Love it. And the ownership will not be that high because first off, not starting, and the price tag $4,900. I don't think people will be on it all that much. So I think good under the radar, low owned play. Love those plays, boys. All right, the person that won gear had a really solid comment, and it is Kelly Wilhide. When I was threatening the likes, she goes, "I'll like the video if JSU promises to cut his hair." Can we get that from you?
She doesn't count because that is my girlfriend.
Oh, that's perfect. That is perfect.
She does not count. She already got gear. I bought her gear. I paid
awesome.
for it myself. All right.
Did you see that comment before?
No, I didn't. The chat's so this comments flowing. It's tough to see all the good comments.
Yeah. I had that one pegged. That's awesome. That's your girlfriend. All right, here's the next one. All right, I like this one. I don't know if he's one or not, but I see him in the chat. Brandon Napier. Big T listened to that old school Ja Rule heading to the post office. I like that one. Getting Big T to the post office. I think it's the FedEx store, but it's close enough. So Brandon, email info@Rumpier Sports or hit up Tony with your information, and we'll get you some gear very soon. All right, that's going to do it for the Hardwood show. We have JSU and Holden. What time are you guys going live? 6:45?
Yeah, 6:45 we'll be going live. We'll be running right up to a lock. So come hang out with us. If you're not a member, sign up. And we got week passes too, right?
Yeah, the weekly pass, like I said, right now is a good time to do it with all the sports going on. Workbench 21. Use that promo code. It's only going to be $15 for a week. So you can sample it out this weekend with all the sports going on. So head on over to Rumpier Sports and become a member today. All right, I'm going to get on out of here for Mangone, for JSU. I'm Hoop. Good luck tonight to everyone in their contests.